A Sunday in the middle of August in 2020, and yet there's so much riding on this day when it comes to the VGK and the Stanley Cup playoffs. So welcome into our studio, everybody. Darren Millard having a little fireside chat with Gary Lawless as we had the morning skate prior to Game 4 of this first round series against the Chicago Blackhawks. August Stanley Cup playoffs go together rather well, don't you think, for the Vegas Golden Knights, based on the first three games and the potential of a sweep, the second time in franchise history today.
Yeah, well, they haven't lost a game in a long time, right? They won their exhibition game, won their round-robin games, and now on a real roll against the Blackhawks and an opportunity to sweep this series and then have more than a week off. I don't think that the next series can start until a week this Tuesday. So a real, that's 9 days potentially if they're able to finish the job here. And there's pros and cons to that. We can deal with that if it happens. But obviously, Chicago very good in Game 3. And Vegas will have to, there's some adjustments to be made before this game. And I think that they'll have to be much better if they expect to close out the Blackhawks. You just think about that. Jonathan Toews, Patrick Kane, Duncan Keith, Corey Crawford, all Stanley Cup, Brandon Saad, they all have Stanley Cup pedigree. They're going to be tough to close out.
This series has really grown into a Stanley Cup meeting because the first game was as much a feeling out process as anything I've ever seen in the Stanley Cup playoffs. There wasn't much there. Vegas was able to pull it out in the third period with a couple of key goals. The second game goes to overtime after Chicago played a really strong second period. And the third game, you might make the argument, depending on which side of the fence you're on, but one thing we do know is it was Chicago's best game of the set.
Well, I would say this, that Chicago is a lot better than anyone, expected them to be. The Game 2 went to overtime, so you're a bounce away from losing that game.
A post from Dylan Strome.
And, Game 2, Marc-Andre Fleury, I wouldn't say he stole that game, but pretty close to it. That game easily could have ended up in overtime, and then you become, once again, in another situation, a bounce away from losing. So they're up 3-0. This series could easily be 2-1 Vegas. It could even be 2-1 for Chicago.
Pete DeBoer said he was going to use both goaltenders in the Stanley Cup playoffs, said he was going to use both goaltenders in the back-to-back scenario, opted to go with Marc-Andre Fleury on the front half yesterday in game number 3, faced 26 shots, and 20 of them were high danger, quality opportunities, and Marc-Andre Fleury was in vintage veteran Stanley Cup form.
Yeah, I think his teammates, they didn't help him out a ton in terms of the first opportunity, but second opportunity, Chicago only had one shot off of a rebound in all of that game yesterday. And to me, that's the secret to helping out Marc-Andre Fleury. He's really good on the first shot. Sometimes he gets a little aggressive and is out of position. So if there is a rebound, you can have an empty net. And that didn't happen to him in that game. Only 1 second shot against him. So I thought Flower was full marks. And I'm not sure I wouldn't start him again today. That would be if I was Pete DeBoer, there'd be a lot of, I'd have to think long and hard about who my goalie is going to be. Someone told me this a while ago. When you have a good decision, a good choice and a bad choice, it's an easy decision. When you have two bad choices, it's a really hard decision. And when you have two good choices, it's a really hard decision. Pete DeBoer has two very good choices.
What do you think that game, that performance means to Marc-Andre Fleury, the person and the athlete?
Well, as much as Pete DeBoer said he was going to need both goalies and going to use both goalies, I thought that Robin Lehner earned the start for Game 1. I hadn't had any problem with that. But when he came, and then Lehner was good. He only gave up one goal. So you can understand DeBoer again saying, every time I put this guy's name on the lineup card, I win. So I can understand him going with him in Game 2. But then he wasn't great in Game 2. So that's when Fleury probably said to himself, okay, we're going to find out really if I'm going to be part of this. And when his name was in there for Game 3, that's a chance. That's a chance to say, you know what? I did have a rough go against St. Louis in the round robin. I haven't played a lot in a long time. I'm going to show you that I deserve the net at least every other game. And you know what? I'm not sure Pete DeBoer is against doing that, going back and forth. So we're going to see. I really think DeBoer is going to, will declare a starter in the media based on who's in net that night. But I'm not sure Pete DeBoer this isn't going to be a case-by-case situation for him.
The plan was to play both this weekend. We'll see if that changes. The conversation would have certainly occurred because about going back to Marc-Andre Fleury because of how well he played in Game 3 yesterday. After watching 3 consecutive games, Marc-Andre Fleury was back in goal for the first time in this set and served up a performance that Pete DeBoer called responsible for his team's best player.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little nervous, right? Little butterflies before the game, even though I played so many games. And
really,
yeah,
oh,
still
wow.
do. But I think I don't know, find ways with years and experience how to handle things maybe better than I used to when I was younger. And but it's still a lot of fun, right? So it's still playoff hockey, and the game meant a lot. And we could go up 3-0 in the series, so that was big. And at the same time, I just tried to stop one puck at a time, one shot at a time, and worked out all right.
Were you surprised when he admitted that he was a little bit nervous before Game 3?
Mark's transparent. He's a pretty honest guy. And, I think he was transparent in games 1 and 2, and we didn't see a lot of smiling from him on the bench. I'm sure, certainly he wanted his team to win, but probably he's a starting goalie. He wants to play. He probably wasn't, overjoyed that he wasn't in the net. And then, there's a lot riding on this. He wants to contribute. He wants to be part of this. And, the thing about Robin Lehner, even when Robin's, when he struggles, it kind of like 3 goals is a lot to score against him because of how big he is. So, the way Vegas is scoring, they have the number 1 offense in the Stanley Cup playoffs right now. They're around 4.6 goals per game. You kind of, Robin Lehner is a pretty easy decision. It's if we score, we're going to win with him in net. And, Fleury is aware of all of these things. And I just think he wants to be involved. And so that's what he would have been nervous about. If I have a good start, that means I'm going to get to play and I'm going to get to keep going here. And he has said to Pete DeBoer, you need to think about me when you're filling out that lineup card.
The Lehner angle?
Well, he's big and he is very comfortable with his style. He knows what he has to do. Not a great puck handler. That's not a forte of his. Fleury is like a third defenseman out there with the way he can handle a puck. I just think that Lehner, that big body, and Mark Stone has told us about him, that he is very competitive. And I think that's one of the things. There's an edge for Vegas with both of their goaltenders. Both of these guys are ultra competitive. They want to win, and they will battle. If like Lehner wasn't great in Game 3, he hung in there. And we saw that from Corey Crawford in Game 2. And we saw that from Corey Crawford in Game 3, led up, the backhand goal to Carlson early. And then he really battled in the second period to keep it. Vegas came on hard in the second. Crawford battled to keep it at 1 goal. And then when Vegas got up by 2, again, he did the same thing. He kept his team in it, and they had a chance late to get to 2-2, and it just didn't happen.
Who would you start? Would you stick with the game plan and split them?
No, I think if I was making the call, I'd probably go with Fleury today.
It happened once this year where Fleury played in consecutive days, and he was victorious in both halves.
Yeah, he's fresh. They haven't played very much hockey, and he was really good. And I would start Fleury for a number of reasons. I'd want to get him a little bit more work. Lehner's had more work and gotten into a bit of a rhythm. That's Mike McKenna talks about Fleury being a guy who gets into a rhythm. I'd want to win this series. Fleury was fantastic, and I'd want to end the series right now. Fleury was fantastic. He's not tired. There's no reason not to start Marc-Andre Fleury. He's hot. Yeah, I'd go with 29 today.
Marc-Andre Fleury picked up the win in Game 3 for the Vegas Golden Knights to give the Golden Knights a 3-0 series lead in the first round set against the Chicago Blackhawks. The game-winning goal in that 2-1 win was scored by Patrick Brown, who is part of the taxi squad, made his series debut yesterday when Paul Stastny and Tomasz Nosek were ruled unfit to play. Brown had gone 2.5 years without playing an NHL regular season game until this year when he scored in his one appearance for the Golden Knights against the Anaheim Ducks, and then steps in Game 3 yesterday, takes the opening face-off with Reeves and Carrier, and ends up potting the goal that gives the Golden Knights the commanding lead.
Yeah, well, he was really good in the face-off circle for Vegas yesterday. One more than he lost, and Pete DeBoer was not shy about having him out there for D-zone draws. And this is, a really great play by Alex Tuch to get the puck up, and then a great pass from Schmidt to get it over to Tuch. And Brown, go to the net. You go to the net and you get rewarded, and that was just that's a great goal from a fourth line player. And boy, he must have been happy. He played 8 games for the Carolina Hurricanes in the playoffs previously and had been held completely off the score sheet, and now he's got a goal in the Stanley Cup playoffs. It's a nice thing to have on your American Express card.
And then ended up playing for the Charlotte Checkers against the Chicago Wolves in last year's, the 2019 Calder Cup, was a teammate of Nick Waz. So it's one of those things where if you can't beat him, sign him, bring him over, trade for him.
Yes.
And that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, he's a really cool story. His dad is Doug Brown, played for the Detroit Red Wings. His uncle Greg also played in the National Hockey League. I think he works for the Rangers now. And then his family, on his mother's side, they own the New York Giants. So he's kind of it's a real cool. He's got a real cool sports story, and he's a great guy. We've had an opportunity he's been around for a little bit, and we've got the opportunity to meet him. He's a competitive guy. That's why I think Vegas probably why they would have watched him against the Wolves in that series. And he's a veteran, a guy that's a depth guy for your NHL team. They would have said, this is a guy that competes. He'll show our prospects the right way to play in the American League, and when we get into a fix or a pickle due to injuries at the National Hockey League level, we can bring him up and we know he's going to play hard.
He was really good in training camp during the Phase 3 stage of this return to play, and Pete DeBoer talked after Game 2 about how there's pucks available around Corey Crawford. He's playing well, but there's pucks available. That was a great example of a puck just being on the edge of the crease, and Patrick Brown put it home. Head to the Arsenal during the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. You've been doing that. I've seen you down there walking in and out of the Arsenal. We have exciting purchases available for you. Gift purchases. You can night up, spend $200 on Vegas Golden Knights gear to get a complete bobblehead set of 4 players. So you spend $200 in gear and get a complete set of 4 bobbleheads. That is a cool little gift to celebrate and be able to night up your living room, your basement, your man cave, your VGK cave for the Stanley Cup playoffs. How many bobbleheads do you own?
Well, my daughter owns them, so whatever.
Well, your family.
Whatever bobblehead that we've produced, it has. I've been lucky enough to have one appear on my desk.
How many times have you tried to fix one?
Never.
Really?
Never. No, actually.
They're hard to replace.
Well, I'll tell a little story about that. My wife and my daughter, when we lived in Winnipeg, had a little crush on Winnipeg Jets captain Blake Wheeler, and his head may have popped off.
Oh, you were a little bit threatened by the bobblehead?
I was jealous. He's got good hair.
He does have good hair. We have the Golden Knights going for a sweep. Happened one other time in franchise history. Year 1, Series 1 against the Los Angeles Kings. That set was a lot closer than the 4-0, and this series is starting to resemble that a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah, I was thinking about that this morning, and we just talked about how a number of these games could have gone either way. And that Game 4 in L.A., Braden McNabb got the winner in that one. Marc-Andre Fleury was really sharp in that game, and it was very interesting. Drew Doughty had kind of made some disparaging remarks about the Golden Knights during the regular season, and Vegas wanted that game. They wanted to win it, and when I say Vegas, I mean the city. I don't just mean the players. Everyone wanted to get rid of the Kings, who were supposed to be, the big rival just a couple hours down the road here. And a lot of people from L.A.
had won 2 Stanley Cups recently.
Yep.
The big dogs.
Yeah, a lot of people from L.A. come here for the weekends. A lot of people from Vegas go to the beach down there. So a natural geographic rival right off the bat, and that was a fun night. I can remember Thomas Tatar was a healthy scratch, and back then I had to come right down. I used to leave the radio booth with a few minutes and be right outside of the dressing room to prepare to go in for interviews immediately after the game. And as the Golden Knights were coming off the ice, I can remember that was a signal to me what a great team this was. Tatar was a healthy scratch, and he was standing in the tunnel waiting for the Golden Knights to come off. And as every guy came off, he was just like jubilant, jumping into their arms and clapping and screaming, and it was a fun night.
This is a much different team, the Golden Knights, this time around than 2018. They were the underdogs then, still trying to prove that the start was legit, that the middle was legit, that the end and the first place was legit. This is a team with strong expectations to win the Stanley Cup, and Will Karlsson was part of that team and is part of the group right now that's trying to set up the sweep over the Chicago Blackhawks and put aside this team that starts to get a little bit better each and every game out.
Yeah, every victory, or at least the last two here, has been hard fought, and they're really taking it to us. So it's been good though that we've managed to win these games. Like today, we're where we maybe wasn't at our best, and yeah, but we got one more win, and it's going to be just as tough. So we just got to keep going. There's no slacking off here.
Love that last line. No slacking off here. Just put the pedal down because of what they've seen. And just they're the only team that has a potential of sweeping. Everybody else has lost one game and been brought back to the pack a little bit. Philadelphia was the last undefeated team outside of Vegas, and they lost to the Montreal Canadiens. So really important to take care of business.
Yeah, not slack off, I would suggest, and gonna have to be a lot better. I think Jeremy Colleton really made some great adjustments for the Blackhawks into that game yesterday. They did a much better job getting the puck into the offensive zone and keeping it there for a little bit longer.
Yeah, forecheck was way better, right?
Yeah, they did a great job going low to high and getting shots from the point at Fleury. They didn't get the rebounds. Vegas continues to be excellent when they are in their defensive zone. They have covered the Blackhawks very well. They've done a good job in making sure that no one's unmarked. That's a real good sign. But Vegas, for me, there was a shift late in the game. Vegas was up 2-1, and Max Pacioretty got the puck down low, and Blackhawks defenseman Adam Boqvist was trying to get the puck from Pacioretty, and Pacioretty stuck his posterior out and protected the puck and held onto it, and then got it to Stone, and all of a sudden they started a revolution and they got a little cycle going, and they had a long shift in the offensive zone, and they created some chances off it. That's what I want to see from the Golden Knights. The rush stuff that Chicago likes, trading chances, I don't think you want to play that game. You are bigger, you're stronger, and you can create that way. To me, get the puck down, create a forecheck, and have long, extended opportunities in the offensive zone.
Remember, it was Chicago that had last change in game number 3 and will have last change again today. So that helps Jeremy Colleton with his matchups, and he was able to get Patrick Kane away from Will Karlsson and just a little bit more, which obviously adds to the effectiveness of Patrick Kane, who was lights out. I mean,
yeah, Patrick Kane has yet to score a goal in this series, and Jonathan Toews the same thing. And if you talk about the Chicago Blackhawks and you say through 3 games you've kept Kane and Toews off the board, well, that's a real big factor. And I think Braden McNabb and Nate Schmidt have done an excellent job when they're out there against Kane. He's had his chances.
He
just hasn't been able to convert. And you've seen him a few times on the bench, kind of looking skyward. So to me, again, the best defense against the Blackhawks is a good offense. Keep the puck in the offensive zone. Don't try and trade chances. And if you let Kane wheel and deal, eventually he's gonna hurt you. And certainly, I would expect Patrick Kane to be really ready to go today and to try and have an impact on this game.
If you believe in signs or fate, or maybe it's just your day, Ole Mata passes that puck across in the first period to Patrick Kane, who has the wide open net because nobody saw the puck come across. And Kane hits the outside of the post, and Marc-Andre went over and gave his post a little bit of a tap. But that was just maybe an indication they were headed for a positive result.
Yeah, well, goalies will tell you when a guy hits the post that he missed the net. And the reason he did that was because I didn't give him anything to shoot at. That wasn't the case in this one. It was a wide open net. And, I'm sure Patrick Kane had trouble falling asleep last night. That one would certainly keep him awake.
I know you don't follow it as much as others, but Nate Schmidt has been a big proponent of the gold pads and the gold gloves for Marc-Andre Fleury. And it kind of
Did he wear them last night?
He got Marc-Andre going during the regular season. He wore them for a while, and coming out of the pause, he was back in his regular white and gold gear.
Well, I love the story about that Fleury was going to have.
They were supposed to be auctioned.
They were going to
right?
be auctioned off, and Schmidt grabbed them off the auction table and said, these are lucky. We're keeping them.
But he wore them again.
Yes.
They came back out a second time for that game yesterday. The expected lineup today, we're not sure about Paul Stastny. It sounded with Pete DeBoer after the Game 3 press conference that Stastny may be a possibility to go back in. So this is sort of our projected lines. Goes a lot with what we saw yesterday with the possibility of Stastny sliding back in, and we know how that's going to adjust things down the middle. And Robin Leonard we're putting in there just because going into the weekend, the plan was to play both goaltenders, but the option is also there to go back with Marc-Andre Fleury.
Yeah, if Stastny was able to go, I would put him right back between Marchessault and Smith, and then I would and move Carlson up with Pacioretty and Stone, and then I would take Chandler Stevenson and I would drop him right down to the fourth line, kick out Patrick Brown from that spot, not kick him out, but remove him from that spot.
Harsh. The guy scored the game-winning
goal.
goal.
I meant like kick out, like in not kick out with your foot, but kick out as,
what did he ever do to you?
Nothing. I just said all kinds of nice stuff about him. So, but I would put Stevenson on the fourth line with Carrier and Reeves because I would not disrupt what's going on in the third line. I think Nick Waugh has been fantastic and has really, that line, they haven't converted a ton, but the shot differential, they're way ahead in that. They're way ahead in the scoring chances, and I just think Nick Waugh has been excellent. And I don't think Stevenson has been great to this point. I think he needs to get going, and I think playing on that physical line, that might give Chandler Stevenson a jolt. Bang into a few people. I also think he's such a great player. The matchups, if you match that fourth lineup against the line that Colleton has been using as his fourth line, I think they're going to score. I think Stevenson would have a great opportunity. And again, in these playoffs, in Stanley Cup playoffs, if your top six can saw off with their top six, which is, Vegas has been in the plus in that area, and you get production from your bottom six, it's a great way to win games.
I also like the Alex Tuck performance so far on that third line, which goes to
Alex
your idea of keeping them together. And Chicago is a three-line team right now. You say match up against the fourth line that Jeremy Colleton's using. He's not really using it. They're spotted in at best. So in the turnaround in back-to-back games, Gary, what do you think the impact is there of a four-line team against a club that went with Patrick Kane for 25 minutes for the second straight game?
Yeah, well, Vegas is the best conditioned team in the tournament. We've seen that by what they've done in third period so far. I believe they're a +8 now in goal differential in the third periods in the return to play tournament. That's a massive edge. They took phase 1 and phase 2 very seriously, worked out. When they got a chance to get on the ice, they were all here. Like, that commitment that they showed is paying dividends in the third period, and it's a huge edge for them, and I would expect that this game will be another example of that. Pete DeBoer, his fourth line guys are averaging right around 10 minutes a night in terms of ice time. That means he's using them, and that's, if you can roll 4 today, and Kane is in a situation where Colleton is spotting him in and out, trying to get more offense, eventually that's going to work in Vegas's favor.
Are you concerned if you're a Blackhawk fan? Not saying you are, but trying to look at it impartially here. Corey Crawford had one practice in Phase 3 in training camp before they departed for Edmonton. He's played every game for the Blackhawks, and now you're in a back-to-back. And we know they're well-conditioned athletes, but then there's game shape and the attrition here. Vegas is looking at the option of playing both goaltenders this weekend because of that luxury. Chicago, it's Corey Crawford here, and I'm just wondering about the spillover effect to him personally.
Yeah, well, he has gotten better as the series has gone on. So, maybe one of two things happens. Either he, really hits his groove today, or
you're right.
Or he's a little sacked and he struggles a little bit. I think probably, the Blackhawks will want to limit his workload. And one thing I notice about goaltenders when they're tired is when they go out to play the puck, they're not as sharp as they normally are. And I would think that, maybe Jimmy Waite, the goaltender coach of the Blackhawks, says to Corey, let's stick to the crease a little more than usual tonight.
Any thoughts, predictions, just looking ahead to game number 4 and this potential series winner for the Vegas Golden Knights?
Well, for me, it is they have to play their game, and I would want to be really physical early on and, really try and put some doubt into the Blackhawks, but they're tired. You know that they're going with a shorter bench. You've been going with all 4. What's the best way to stamp fatigue on a team? Hit them.
I'm looking forward to seeing Patrick Brown with another strong performance, hopefully, after what you said about him earlier.
Hey, before we go, I have to say something to you.
What's that?
Happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
I could sing.
Well, I would love to hear that. Let's sing.
Really?
Sing us out.
I was hoping that I wasn't going to have
sing
to
us
do
out.
this.
We have
All
the
right.
fortress at home.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. He's 50 to Darren. Happy birthday, dear Darren. Happy birthday, you old goat.
And happy game day to you. The Fortress at Home comes your way, so second screen that as we celebrate the Golden Knights in Game 4 of the Chicago Blackhawks series in this first round and a potential sweep against the original 6 team. Thanks to Gary Lawless and our entire team. We'll be on AT&T Sportsnet half an hour before the game, so at 3 o'clock with the pregame show there, and the VGK Radio Network pregame show also at 3 o'clock with puck drop just after 3:30. Have our cake and eat it too with a series sweep. Enjoy the game.